that Gypsy does is instigated by Christie. Christie has been bullying people for years, and it's been something that I have been talking to her about privately, about how unnecessary it is and how it doesn't matter, and to not get into fights with people that she doesn't know, and to stop going after creators. We actually got into quite a few disagreements about Nina. I didn't like that they were just obsessed with Nina. Even if Nina gets stories wrong, even if she spreads rumors, I mean, that's kind of what her whole thing is, right? Like, she's like a gossip girl. Like, she's talking about speculative topics. Sometimes she gets things really right, and sometimes she gets things really wrong. But that's like what her genre is. Like, she's just talking. But I don't think it's necessary. What I told Gypsy about Nina, as I said, the more you talk about her, Gypsy, the more famous you're going to make her. And that's good for her, right? Like, that helps her business. It gives her clout, and it helps her grow her business. But if you ignore her, then you don't give her exposure, and then nobody knows who she is. But if you engage with her, you're drawing attention to her that other people might not have ever seen. And they just didn't seem to like care. Like, they were just, I got upset because privately with them for bringing up the fact that she apparently lost custody of her kids, which I was just like, what does that have to do with what she's saying about you? Even if it's true, what does that have to do with her and what she said about you? Nothing. So you're just attacking for the purpose of attacking, to deflect the criticism that she's giving you. That's just my example with Nina. And there's plenty of people that speculate about her, not just Nina. But what I also don't love about her targeting Nina is that Nina's not a large creator. She's an African-American woman. It doesn't look good in any capacity. Nina has a right to have her platform and do her thing, and she shouldn't be targeted by anyone. So yeah, like, I haven't agreed with some of the stuff that Nina's done, but I don't agree with Christie and Gypsy responding to her. And I'll tell you what really turned me off when it came to Nina. Every day I was waking up, and I'm not saying Nina turned me off, I'm saying like Gypsy's behavior with Nina, was the video where she said she was like panini pressed, and she was like insulting Nina because apparently Nina doesn't have a man, which is irrelevant. As though like having a man is some sort of like signal to society that you're worth being someone, right? There's plenty of creators that make 5+ videos about her a day. And you know what? Gypsy's inviting all of them. Like, if she's going to put herself out there and constantly invite this attention. Oh, it's telling me that it keeps telling me to join. Like, Julie, it keeps asking me to join you, like, to have you join my live. And I'm like, is Julie asking to join my live, or is she not? I'm not saying what Nina's doing is okay. I'm just saying I'm only speaking to how Gypsy's responding. I'm not saying that what Nina's doing is okay. I'm just saying, like, Gypsy has a larger platform, and she has a... Oh, you have brought followers to go live with you. So it suggests, oh, okay. That makes sense. Thank you, Julie. I'm not speaking to Nina's behavior. Gypsy's the one that has a huge platform, and Gypsy's the one that has the notoriety. Gypsy's the one that has the tabloids in her pocket. Gypsy's the one that in one phone call can literally destroy anyone in the press that she wants to, including me. Like, if she wants to call TMZ about me right now, she will. If she wants to call People Magazine or Us Weekly or In Touch, she will, and she does. Gypsy 100% has TMZ on speed dial, and anytime a negative story is about to get out, she calls them ahead to set the narrative in her favor. Anytime Ryan might have said something about her, she would contact TMZ and give them a heads up about him, completely smearing him. She also did this when it came to the lawsuit with Fancy Maselli. And listen, I am not a fan of Fancy. Fancy says some things that are truthful, but Fancy goes on complete deep ends that don't even factually make sense and negate the fact that what even Dee Dee's siblings say was that Dee Dee exaggerated, fabricated, and even at times, like, abused Gypsy. Like, no one in the family is denying that the abuse happened. But Fancy wants to deny that the abuse happened. But abuse itself is not a reason to unalive someone, right? She is making money off the crime. And here's the thing. We can talk about that with the whole making money off the crime. That's a whole thing. I actually got into a very heated conversation with Christie about this in December. Let me just say that there's been a lot of very heated conversations with Christie Blanchard, and I've had some heated conversations with Gypsy as well. And so they're probably not surprised that this was coming, because I have been trying to cut ties with them because it was interfering in my ability to report about them and about Gypsy. And I didn't want to be swayed by them to report and be some sort of like narrative pusher for them. Gypsy, I've talked to many times. I texted with her, called her, we spoke on the phone. I talk to Christy all the time. I've known Christy since 2019. Talked to Christy. I literally was on the phone with Christy for over 3 hours last week. And I mean, I've had, yeah, Christy and I, years. But yeah, so she can be a victim and a perpetrator. Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't excuse unaliving your mother. There's a lot of things that just don't, I think if you want to really know what the motive was, it had nothing to do with her wanting not to be hurt anymore by her mom. It was because she wanted to be with her boyfriend. And plenty of people have unalived their parents. There's a lot of cases where a female or a male unalives their parents for them not allowing them to have a relationship. A motive of love and control are so common. Okay, goodbye. He can't, King CAPHAPP or whatever, I just blocked him because he said to name 3 cases of someone actually unaliving a parent over a love triangle or a love triangle like death. It's like one of the biggest motives. One of the biggest motives in these types of crimes. Love triangles. So yeah, she's definitely not advocating for anyone. So, at all. People have always keep asking me, like, how did you get connected to them? You have to remember, in 2018, there was a documentary that came out called Mommy, Dead and Dearest, okay? That made it very clear that the perpetrator was Dee Dee and that it was framed as though Gypsy had to do this to get away from her mom. And it was like self-defense. And the public opinion in 2019 was very much in Gypsy's favor. The tides of Gypsy haven't switched until she got released. 99% of the people were supportive of Gypsy back in 2019, and that's when I met them. But yeah, so what can I even say about this? What should I say about this? Thank you guys for your likes. Thank you guys for all of that, your hearts, all of those things. Thank you so much. Thank you for helping get this video out. Okay. Let's talk about that. Yeah, keep giving me those likes. Thank you. And tapping and all of those things. Thank you so much. Okay. It says Community Fest. I don't even know what that means. Cool. Okay, so there's a lot of things about Christy wants Ken. That's not true. I can tell you for certainty that is not true. Christy didn't like Ryan at all. So, you know why Christy didn't like Ryan? This is hysterical. Christy doesn't like anyone that actually calls her on her stuff. She gets really mad when people actually call her on her stuff. Christy has been trying to sue 1 million people and anyone that slanders her and actually accuses her and Rod of being neglectful. When Gypsy, everything that was going on, when Dee Dee was like, came out and everything was like, sorry, this is like a weird filter, I don't know, it's like, and it's really dark out here so you can't even really see me. Maybe I'll go inside where you can actually see my face. The sun is going down. Okay. Let me just get inside. Ooh, it's nice and cool out here, cool down here. And this doesn't help because it's dark down here too. Give me a second. It was like nice and light out and then it got dark. I'm here, I'm still here. Okay. Let me turn on the lights. Okay. Hopefully this is better. Can you see me better? The lighting was really bad out there. Okay. I'm in my basement now. Okay. Much better, huh? Okay. Yes, you can actually see me. Okay. So I know this because I know the family. I have been connected to Gypsy and I've been connected to Christy since 2019. Friendly, lots of phone calls, lots of texts, all of that. So I can tell you from Christy's point of view why she didn't like Ryan. Okay. It's complicated, but they're trying to protect money. Okay. Gypsy has made a decent amount of money through all of this stuff, right? There's a trust fund that she has from Mommy, Dead and Dearest and other appearances that she did when she was in prison. And that trust fund has a couple $100,000 in it. And a lot of these guys are very aware of the money that she's bringing in and are very interested in that money. I'm not saying that that's why Ryan was interested in her. The trust fund has $250,000. $250,000. That was from Mommy, Dead and Dearest and and then there was 2 separate trust funds. They did trust funds. Well, it's a lot of money to people that don't have money. These are people that are from the Bayou in Louisiana. Gypsy's parents Rod and Christie, their house is like 1,000 square feet. They're not wealthy. I know this because they told me this. I know this because Christie told me this. I'm not lying. So there's money, there's trust funds, and GYPSY's kind of alluded to a lot of this, right? And then, so here's the thing. There's a lot of reasons why she had to marry Ryan, but I'll tell you one of them. Christie said on the series, on the last episode, she said the reason why that they got married was because, what did she say? That GYPSY needed a place to go because GYPSY didn't want to go to her parents' house because she didn't want to be a burden. There's a couple reasons why GYPSY got married. One, she didn't want to live with her parents. And I mean, she's 32 years old, and yeah, she didn't want to live with them. Why didn't she want to live with them? Because she didn't know them. GYPSY didn't know them. They were strangers to her. They were as much of strangers to her as Ryan was. She hadn't seen her dad in like 7 or 8 years before the crime. They didn't have any connection. Like once she moved from Louisiana to Missouri, she didn't see her dad for like that entire time. And I think they moved in 2007, and he never went to see her. So from 2007 until 2015, Rod never saw her. It's weird that people would say, why are you telling them their business? I'm like, I'm literally just talking about what I do. This is what I do for a job. I'm not saying that he didn't try. I'm not saying that Dee Dee didn't make it impossible. I'm just saying any normal father would take legal action or steps to see their daughter, but they didn't. They didn't at all. They didn't want her, and they didn't tell a lot of people about her. A lot of their friends didn't know that Rod even had a daughter. When GYPSY went missing and Christie started posting about it, a lot of her friends were even shocked to find out. Yes, I know Christie personally. A lot of her friends were shocked to find out that she and Rod had another daughter. I don't support them. Why are people confused? I'm so confused. Please check my YouTube channel. Like, it's very clear where I'm at. So they weren't telling their friends about GYPSY. A lot of Rod and Christie's friends didn't know that they even had a friend, didn't know that Rod had a daughter. I used to support them, yes. Can someone tell them that I'm like, tell people in the chat that I'm like, yes, I used to, but I'm not anymore. But anyways, that's insane, right? So they didn't see them for like 7 years, and 7 or 8 years. They didn't tell a lot of people about her. And in fact, Rod has 2 daughters. So check this out. I didn't even know this until recently, until I had to ask Christie about this. Well, my channel is actually reporting. So she said, it sounds like you like gossip. Yeah, Kelly says, here, can I pin this one, Kelly? Pin that. If you're confused, go watch her YouTube videos. She explains everything. Exactly. Okay. So Rod has 2 daughters, and he has another daughter that's either 6 months older or 6 months younger than GYPSY. Rod was really young. I think he was like 17 or 18, and he had a lot of girlfriends. Like, he was not a faithful kind of guy. He's been a little bit of a player, a little bit like all over the place. And he had 2 daughters, GYPSY and another girl, that he recently reconnected with in the last like year. And then that daughter has a son, so he's a grandfather. It only pins for so long. Oh, okay. So anyways, yeah, just keep talking. It's so hard. Okay, stop dealing with comments, right? Do I feel like I was gaslit by them? Yes, 100% do I feel like I was gaslit by them. But I want to be clear that behind the scenes, I was definitely calling them out. And a lot. In December, before GYPSY got released, I found out about the reality show. I knew about it, but I was like talking to her about it. And I was like super concerned because she knew that I cover reality television, and I was trying to explain to her that reality television contracts are terrible, that the editors can edit anything in any way that they want. They do not have to even be truthful in the timelines and editing. They can just piece shit together and make it look like anything happens, regardless if it's true. I said that GYPSY wasn't prepared to be on reality television, that it's going to destroy her reputation. I said no matter how much money they give you, Lifetime is known for the Bad Girls Club, and they're going to make her a bad girl. They're not going to treat it with care. They're not going to treat the story with kindness. They're going to trivialize and like make the whole story sensationalized, which is exactly what has happened. I also told them that GYPSY didn't have the social skills or the world skills to manage social media. And I told her that I thought it was a really bad idea for her to go out on social media because of her lack of social skills. She was going to expose her bad behavior, and that the world of social media is not forgiving. And that if she starts speaking about whether it's her crime or Nick or whoever, people are going to start piecing together the discrepancies in her story. And if she wants her story to be consistent, going live on TikTok is probably the last place to go. I also said the last thing she should be doing as a convicted felon is making disparaging comments, picking fights with people, telling people to say things to her face. You know, like, she like spends so much of her time consumed by what's happening online. It's disturbing. She and Christie, the two of them, are obsessed with what people say about them, and all they want to do is convince you all that their narrative is the only narrative and nothing else is true. The discrepancies in Gypsy's stories have changed so many times. It's impossible for me to really state like the discrepancies. So Christie's been meddling in all of this since day one, and Christie has a really, I don't know if she's like addicted to the attention. I don't know if she's after the money. I don't know if she feels guilt for neglecting and her husband abandoning his child. She didn't really give a shit about Gypsy until this happened, and they were all famous. Neither did Rod. So you neglect a child your whole life, and then you start caring about them once they unalive your ex-wife, right? And then your whole motive within all of this is to like get people to make documentaries about you and get paid for it. It's really weird. So they were really mad about the act. And the reason why they're mad about the act because the act wouldn't pay them. And the act wanted to make a dramatized version as close to the truth without the narrative that Gypsy is the innocent mouse that had no like part in what happened. Because Gypsy actually orchestrated the entire thing. She shoplifted the knife. She sent him money. She got him a hotel. She paid for his cab. She spent 2 years like whittling him down, convincing him this was the only way that they could be together. They don't want anyone to talk about that. She's the mastermind behind all of it, but they don't want you to talk about that. The act had a lot of parts that were fictional, but it was, I would say, those parts that were fictional were still true to the story, right? Some parts never happened, but it was still like stuff that could give you an essence of like the vibe that was happening. And she 100% manipulated Nick. 100% manipulated Nick. Nick was on Social Security and declared disabled with an IQ of 82, and she knew it. Like, she knew that he had mental illness. She knew that he had autism. She knew that he was dealing with a lot. And so this was a huge turning point for me. Someone said in the comments, like, and she tried to shoot her mother. I want to tell you one of the turning points for me. They were trying to sell me hard on the fact that Gypsy never had any of these thoughts of hurting her mom until Nick entered the picture. So they told me, no, Gypsy and her mom were totally fine. It was Nick that introduced these really dark thoughts into her head. It's Nick that made her do all these role-playing things. It was Nick that convinced her that this was the only option. And then Gypsy wrote a book and wrote that in 2011, she tried to shoot her mom and kill her, unalive her. And that was before she ever met Nick. So Nick can't be the one that introduced her to these thoughts. She had these thoughts before she met Nick. She had no clue that that was a BB pew-pew. She had no clue. If that would have been a real pew-pew, she would have hurt her. So Nick wasn't the one that introduced these thoughts into her. Katie girl, you need mods. I don't have mods, and I don't know people in here that are mods. And the fact that she set the gloves out, the fact that she handed him the weapon, the fact that she shoplifted it. I mean, I don't know who anyone is. It would be hard for me to like add a mod right now because I don't know who people are, and I don't want to mod strangers. I've done that in the past, and it's blown up in me. She's not a... Nick is a victim of Herms. Oh, look, thank you. Thank you for all of these like things that you guys are sending me. Thank you for the heart. Oh, you guys are cute. Oh, thank you for the roses. Yeah, so I've got mods that are on my YouTube channel, but I'm not going to add mods that I don't know because I've honestly added mods before and I didn't know them, and then it completely blows up in my face. And I have a really pretty large YouTube channel, and I don't want to get into trouble adding mods that I don't know. And then people are like, oh, that person's a you-know-what, or they've got a criminal history. Like, how dare you add that person as a mod? So I'm just going to like have to not have a mod right now. Okay. I thought I heard. Okay, so let's see. What can I do? What can I say? What was I even talking about? Okay, so people keep saying that the crime scene photos leaked. Those have been out for a very long time. Years. The crime scene photos were released back in like 2015. And they've been saying that these have never been seen before. They're lying. Literally, these photos are everywhere. They're not new. There's nothing new that's been revealed. Literally, all these photos that are getting leaked are out. Like they're just recirculating. They're not new at all. Like, there is a Facebook group that was started the day that this whole thing was reported, like when Dee Dee was still missing, and literally all of the photos are there, posted in a Facebook group. Oh yeah, so they were trying to convince me that it all started with Nick, which is a flat out lie. Like, it didn't just start with Nick, right? And then there's this whole other thing that I have to talk to you guys about, and it's Gypsy's microdeletion. Now, I know that there's a lot of people on TikTok that want to say that Dee Dee didn't do anything that was wrong, and that's not true. Dee Dee definitely exaggerated and for sure conned people and took advantage of their kindness by getting free gifts and stuff, and even manipulated doctors into believing things about her daughter that weren't true. There were definitely diagnostic tests that may or may not have had to be done because Dee Dee was a hypochondriac that wanted her daughter to be sick and get attention for it. However, some of the procedures that Gypsy claims were done maliciously by her mom weren't. So the family is well aware that Gypsy has a microdeletion. They've known about this for years. And so when the public comes out, when like a creator comes out and drops this information as though it's like new information, it's not. They've known about this for years. Like Dee Dee told Rod Dee Dee told Rod that Gypsy had this when she was like 2. So they knew about it for a very long time. What Dee Dee did is she knew that this was happening. So she would like learn about what the condition was, and then she would take the symptoms that could happen to people and exaggerate those symptoms and act like her daughter was having all of these symptoms. A small percentage of people that have this microdeletion have seizures, like 12%. It's not a huge percentage. But Dee Dee used that to claim that her daughter was having seizures. Now, there's some speculation that Gypsy was actually having fever seizures as a baby, which I don't know if that's true or not. And she also went through a sleep study, which somehow showed that she had sleep apnea. Okay. Now, the behavior symptoms that can happen, this is a very, very, very rare microdeletion. So I want to be extremely clear that there's been no case studies about this deletion. And when someone has something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a product of the microdeletion. For instance, you could have a microdeletion and not even know it and have asthma. Does that mean that the asthma is a product of microdeletion? No, because a lot of people have asthma. Same with seizures. You can have seizures and not have a microdeletion. What they did when they compiled the information was they just interviewed them and said, are there any health issues that you had? And they could never conclusively tie that the microdeletion actually caused those symptoms. So it's just saying that like what the people that have this deletion, what they've reported. It doesn't necessarily mean that the deletion causes it. So how can you speak on something you have no qualifications to do so? I'm just telling you like what the medical literature says. Like there's a PDF that's out that was put together by an organization for this specific microdeletion. And the report that they put out said that they interviewed people impacted by it. And this is what the people reported. They didn't actually state like the reported symptoms that people had was a direct impact. That's what the report says. So that's what I'm just saying. Like they asked people that have this deletion. There's not been a ton of, no, not on this microdeletion. No, there hasn't. There's like 100 people in the world that have this. Okay. So about 75% of the people that have it have reported that they have developmental disabilities or delays, and missing milestones is not uncommon. A certain percentage of them have reported that they have nystagmus and hearing loss. A certain percentage of them have reported that they have seizures. A certain percentage of them have reported that they have low muscle tone, okay? So Gypsy does have a lazy eye. And if you look at photographs of people that actually have this disorder, Gypsy looks exactly like the people that have this microdeletion. Their eyes are set differently. They have smaller heads. Their facial features are more pronounced. Her lips, like that, her kind of bigger upper like lip, that's a part of it. I don't know how, but the other people that have it, that have photographs, they have very similar, their eyes are set the same way, and small heads. Like microcephaly is a common feature of people that have this. They're also short, yes. Short stature is common with a lot of microdeletions, and she's only 4'11". I want to be clear that Mia's never been diagnosed with this microdeletion. I know that Fancy says that Mia has, but that's not true. Mia has never been diagnosed with it, nor has Dylan. Mia does not have this microdeletion. Gypsy does. Fancy says, like, as fact that Mia has it, and that's not true. I don't know where Fancy got the information from. Mia just has her dad's nose, but Mia does not have this microdeletion at all. I watched Fancy's interview with Tasha K, and she was speaking as though Mia has it, and it's just asinine. Like, she doesn't have Mia's medical records. So, and Mia's never been tested for it. Rod's never been tested for it. Like, they've never had the DNA testing for it. Okay. Nope, she actually has nystagmus, whatever it's called. Nystagmus. That's what Gypsy has. It's not just a lazy eye. She actually has nystagmus or whatever it is. And they have to do surgeries for the eyes. So she did have to have eye surgeries related to actual eye conditions she has. The ear stuff that she got were tubes. So Gypsy had chronic ear infections as a child, and she was seen in the ER and at the clinic, and doctors, by looking in her ears, could see she had infections. Due to her chronic infections, she had tubes placed in her ears, which is pretty common. I mean, my son has had ear tubes. He only had to have them one time. And some people have to get multiple sets. And I think that Gypsy had 3 or 4 sets, which can happen with people that have chronic ear infections. And that procedure is not invasive. You don't have any scarring from it. It's literally, it takes 25 minutes. The kids get put under like anesthesia. It's one of the more, it's like one of the easiest procedures a child can go through. And yeah, they can fall out. And some kids, when they have the tubes fall out, they don't need another set. Like my son, he got a set of tubes because he had chronic ear infections when he was around 2 years old. And my son has no scars from his. You act like it's not common. Ear tubes are super common. Ear tubes are super common. It's not common for kids to have multiple sets. Some people need multiple sets. And the reason why it's super common is it's because of the way the anatomy is of the child's body, and like the way that the ear canal is formed in a toddler and a baby is different that as you get older. And as you grow, your ear canals change and you don't get as many infections. Okay. People are like so stupid. Stop saying things as fact. I've never said I never once said I was a doctor. She never went through any cancer treatments ever. So she got ear tubes. She had a couple surgeries for her eyes, which was for the nystagmus. And then one of the issues that happens with her microdeletion is that you can have low muscle tone, which is not uncommon with a lot of genetic conditions or neurological conditions. And so Dee Dee decided that she was dealing with muscle tone issues. And I think it's fair to say, and I'm not a doctor, but if you look at Gypsy, she doesn't have the most robust muscle tone. And this is coming from a woman that has a child with hypotonia. And people that have low muscle tone can lack stamina for walking, and so they can need wheelchairs. Now, the story is that she put her in a wheelchair after an accident. What Dee Dee often did was she would take things, run with them, and exaggerate them so that she could get free shit. Like, that's really all that Dee Dee cared about. Dee Dee wanted free stuff. And she had a muscle biopsy, I think in 2011, to rule in or rule out muscular dystrophy. It was just a procedure done by a doctor to determine, does she actually have muscular dystrophy or does she not? And she didn't have it. And so after 2011, then Dee Dee said that she was paraplegic. So when she was negative for muscular dystrophy, then she decided that Gypsy was paraplegic. So it's really just for sympathy, attention, and to get money. But muscular dystrophy, forms of it can be deemed life-threatening. And so because of that, you can get more attention, more money, more resources, and trips. So Dee Dee shaved her head, yes. Yes, the doctor proved her wrong and said, no, she doesn't have muscular dystrophy. So some of the things that Gypsy says were unnecessary procedures were not actually procedures that were unnecessary. But Dee Dee definitely took things and ran with them. And she said she had and she got, she did scans and was a hypochondriac and would take her in for like random things and like constantly took her to the ER. The feeding tube is another thing. Gypsy in the 2018 show Gypsy's Revenge. Gypsy's story about her feeding tube has changed many times. But Gypsy said in 2018 that she had the feeding tube because she was always vomiting, and that's why she got it. And she got the tube so that she would stop vomiting. When she got her tube, she also had a Nissen funduplication, which is when they wrap a tiny part of the esophagus around the stomach opening to stop acid reflux from coming up from the stomach into the esophagus. It basically like cuts off that connection so that can't come back up to stop people from vomiting that have severe acid reflux and severe like GERD. So she got the tube the same time that she got the Nissen. And what they do a lot of times with people that have GERD is they place the tube. And I know this because I have a child with a feeding tube, and I know a lot of people that have had Nissens, is even if someone doesn't need the feeding tube, they get the tube to release the air. So once they've cut this off up here and they've done the Nissen and you can no longer burp, they place a feeding tube so that the person can burp, because you can release the gas from the stomach through the air and a tube. So I literally know families that have kids that only have a feeding tube for the gas, nothing else. Like they don't get fed through the tube. It's just, they vent it. It's just for venting. Yeah, they vent the tube. So that could be why she got the tube. Not because she needed it for food, but because she was dealing with the GERD. So I know like my son has a feeding tube and we have to vent him as well. He doesn't have a Neeson. So yeah, that's all I can say to you about like what I know about that. But I don't at all discount that like Dee Dee did stuff to her daughter that was not necessary. I don't discount that Dee Dee was controlling, but I also know a lot of kids that have parents that are very terrible and they don't unalive them. Being hurt by a parent doesn't ever excuse unaliving someone. I'm not going to apologize for anything. I'm coming on here to like share the truth of what I know. I don't feel like I should have to apologize for anything because I'm me. And I don't like it when people tell you like that you should apologize for anything. Like I can correct my wrongs and I can say like, this is something I got wrong, but I'm not going to specifically like apologize to anyone for anything, especially people that I don't know. And a lot of the times the people I was blocking, it had nothing to do with disagreeing with me. It had to do with their behavior and the comments they were making that were like aggressive and hostile. So like if you're leaving aggressive and hostile comments at me because you don't agree with me, yeah, I'm going to block you. And if I change my opinion, I'm not going to unblock you because you were probably being hostile and aggressive to begin with. Okay. Now I forgot the next thing. I'm not unblocking anyone. I think it's never okay to unalive anyone. Like self-defense, sure. But the night that Dee Dee was unalived, there was no immediate danger to Gypsy at all. There was no immediate danger. Dee Dee had been dealing with like severe kidney stones and had been pretty bedridden for several months. And Gypsy had actually been taking care of her mom. And see, this person says you excused it 7 months ago. So I can block you for being rude. See how that works? I can recognize that this isn't true, that it says Gypsy hadn't been to a doctor in years. That's actually false. She was actually at the hospital a couple days before getting her feeding tube changed. So that's not true. She had been to the doctor. Okay. Gypsy was counting feeding tube changes as procedures. Okay. What's the question? People, why did she marry Ryan? Okay. I don't know. Like, I wasn't actually there when she married Ryan. Okay. She needed a place to parole to for sure. Okay. She 100% needed a place to parole to. However, she also needed someone to sign contracts because Gypsy is a convicted schmurderer. And there are laws in certain states, including Louisiana, about profiting off of notoriety. And she was going to be paroling to Louisiana, and Louisiana has a law against it. And she needs someone that can sign contracts with her that's not a convicted schmurderer, that can get the money, and so it doesn't look like it's going to Gypsy. This is why Rod and Christie are all over Gypsy, because prior to her getting married, all of the contracts were being signed by Rod and Christie. All of the money paid for all of those appearances before she was married were getting paid directly to Rod and Christie. And they told me that. So they told me that. Christie told me that numerous times. Numerous times. So Christie and Gypsy knows she cannot get paid. And she knows there's laws preventing her from doing this. And Ryan can sign a contract with Lifetime and she can still get paid. The last time I talked to Christie was last week on Thursday. The last time I texted Christie was Monday of this week. So Missouri doesn't have a son of Sam law. Son of Sam laws are actually unconstitutional in most states now, and all of the state laws are now called. So Louisiana has a specific law, and it's. Hold on. Okay. TikTok was going to say that I wasn't being active. You guys, you need to like tap and give me all kinds of loves and like give me likes and all those things, like, because it was saying there was inactivity here. So I'm telling their business so that you're here, Luna. Why are you here wanting to listen to their business? That I should ask you, Luna. Why are you here wanting to listen to that business? The people that get mad at me for sharing business are the same ones listening about that business. It's the irony for me. Thank you for all of these gifts, y'all. Anyways, so I doubt they'll be talking to you anymore. I blocked them. Did I leak what pictures? No, I don't have any pictures. Okay. Looking cute in that hat. Do people understand what your job is? Okay. So they know that Gypsy is not supposed to get any money. They have trust funds set up in other people's names, trying to bypass laws. And then Gypsy getting married also helps her bypass those laws. Now, because she's getting divorced in Louisiana, it's a no-fault divorce state. And marital assets are generally considered community property. And because Ryan signed the lifetime contracts with her, like he was on for both season 1 and season 2, which season 1 was Prison's Confessions of Gypsy Rose and season 2 was Life After Lockup. He's on both of those contracts. And he has like, that's considered marital property. And then he's also on the contract for the book so that she can try to bypass those laws as well. Okay. But now, because of the divorce, he actually is entitled to 50% of everything. So she did this as a way to get around the laws, but now he is entitled to 50% of it. And I'll be clear that as far as I know, Gypsy has not been very smart with the money, nor was Ryan. They were spending a lot. They were spending the money like it was going to go out of style. Like, you know, when you've never had any money at all, and then you come into money and it's like you never think that that money is going to end. Gypsy has no impulse control, no concept of money, no, because Gypsy's never had to work a day in her life. Like her mom did everything for her, everything. So she never had to do anything. So Gypsy spends her money so frivolously. And to the extent that despite the fact that she told me that she made $300,000. She told me she made $150 on the first season of Prison Confessions, $150 on the second season. She told me that she's making $25,000 on the book. She told me that she's making $700 to $800 every time she goes live on TikTok. And that is still not enough money. Okay. Like imagine making that kind of money and she has no bills, none. She's not paying rent to anyone. She doesn't have a car. The only bill that she has that she pays for is her health insurance. She doesn't have a car because she doesn't have a driver's license. She's actually not paying for Ken's apartment. I don't know that she even pays for her phone. I don't think she does. I think Christie and Rod are paying for her phone, or maybe Ryan was paying for the phone. I don't think she was paying for her phone at all. No, I think Christie and Rod were paying for her phone, or Ryan. Oh, she said in a live she's paying for Ken? Oh, well, there you go. Did speaking against Gypsy ruin my friendship with Christie? No. I cut ties with her. So my last conversation with Christie was last week, and it was like a 3-hour call. And I was very frustrated because Gypsy's behavior is pretty deplorable. She is acting like she has no remorse. She's literally hurting people. She's playing with Ryan. She's spreading malicious rumors about Ryan. She's trying to frame everything like everything is Ryan's fault when she was literally cheating on him with Ken. She told me that she didn't have any conversations with Ken until they were split. And then literally Lifetime drops a video today, and it's like she and Ken were talking in February. I am Katie Joy from Without a Crystal Ball. The family does not agree with her behavior. So Mia is probably the most critical of Gypsy and is the most upset by Gypsy's behavior. Mia doesn't like any of the guys because she thinks that any of the guys that would be interested in Gypsy must have something wrong with their head, because Gypsy is like a 12-year-old that's a sociopath, that's a walking tornado with no life experience. Like, what does Gypsy actually have to contribute to a relationship? Nothing. She has no life experience. She has nothing to offer anyone. She doesn't know how to live a life. She doesn't know how to pay bills. Like, Mia is very critical of all of this. Mia has not agreed with a lot of what her mom has done. Christie actually told me this last week, that she and Mia got into a fight because Mia told her that she was basically like enabling Gypsy's behavior and treating her like a friend and not like a parent, and co-signing Gypsy's antics and participating in Gypsy's antics and not behaving like a mother with Gypsy. And that she didn't find the way that she was interacting with Gypsy to be appropriate or a good example to Gypsy. And that she wasn't treating Gypsy like a child, like the way that she should. Like if she's going to be Gypsy's parent, she needs to act like Gypsy's parent. And Christie said that resulted in her like going at it with Gypsy. So apparently Christie and Gypsy got into a huge fight because, so you know that comment that Gypsy made about how she gets like basically insinuating that Ken was doing good oral, like making her wet kind of thing. That comment really upset Gypsy's lawyer, Mia, Dylan, Ken's mom. It upset Ken. It upset Rod. It upset Gypsy's divorce lawyer. And people were like, I love you. And she said that Christie initially said nothing about it to Gypsy. And I guess Gypsy's attorney like chewed her out about that because it was like, you're going through a divorce. Why the hell are you telling people about your sex life with Ken? This is disgusting, unnecessary. People don't need to know about this. What is your problem? Have a filter, act like an adult. Why are you sharing this? Why? To prove a troll wrong on the internet? Get a grip, Gypsy. Like you're acting like a fool. And she's literally going through a divorce. Like, why are you going to share that? You don't share that when you're going through divorces. And my lack of empathy, that's not to me, that's to somebody in the chat. So because Christie initially didn't say anything about that comment, Mia apparently, this is what Christie told me, Mia got upset with her. And then Gypsy, like, Christie went off on her and, like, was yelling at her. And I guess after she went off on her, she said that Gypsy, like, went outside and then did something else, went online and made another stupid comment and started getting into fights with people online. And, like, Christie had to be like, what are you doing? Like, and she said they got into a really big fight about it. And the vibe that's happening right now is that no one can control Gypsy. No one can control her. She doesn't listen to anyone. She doesn't care that what she's doing will literally negatively impact her divorce, will give Ryan ammunition in the divorce, will contribute to like what she's doing right now. Like, so I know that TMZ reported that like they're not going to have alimony and they're not going to do like spousal support. However, in the state of Louisiana, adultery actually can contribute to the person that was cheated on get more assets in the division of assets for marital property. And so what she's doing is giving Ryan's attorneys ammunition for Ryan to get more money because they'll be able to prove that even though it's a no-fault state, they'll be able to prove fault, and it'll be Gypsy's fault that the marriage fell apart. Because Louisiana has this really weird law, and this is basically how they explained it to me, that they don't own anything, but they have really big contracts with Lifetime, and there's a lot of money on the line to them. So they're just trying to protect the money. Christie tells me a lot of things, and fair to say that, like, regardless if she told me something as a friend or not, like, I don't care. Like, I stood back. You have to understand something here. I stood back and took a ton of heat for her behavior, and people blamed me, harassed me, stalked me, and came at me over Gypsy's behavior, stating that and this was part of my conversation with them last week. It was like, you guys are lying to me. You're not telling me the truth. Gypsy's a sociopath, not a true family friend. I think a true family friend would do this. I think a true family friend would call them out and tell them that their behavior is foul. I think a true family friend would not be a yes person. I think a true family friend wouldn't be shy to say publicly, if you're a public person, that the way that they are acting is foul, is wrong, is sociopathic, psychopathic, that hurting people is wrong. I'm not going to allow her lies to impact my credibility. And people don't and shouldn't follow anyone blindly, because Christie will always cover for Gypsy. They will always cover for her. They will always like pretend like Gypsy's done no wrong publicly so they can keep making money. That's all they care about. They don't care about anything but money. So they will do anything in their power to cover for Gypsy so the money train doesn't stop. And I'm not going to cover for Gypsy when her behavior is atrocious and she's picking fights with people, when she's being outrageous in the comments, when she's making threats to people, when she's intentionally violating her parole and doing it without any regard and just expecting her parole officer to give her a pass. Like, she has violated and they have given her warnings. Like, if her parole officer wasn't nice, she could be back in prison right now. Like, she's literally been given warnings about what she's doing. And any other prisoner, if it wasn't her, would be back in prison. So last week, she got in trouble with probation and parole because she left a comment on Tuesday's Instagram, on Tuesday Sparks, I think is her name. She was a roommate of Gypsy's in prison. And she was not supposed to interact with anybody that she was in prison with. She's not supposed to speak to them. She's not supposed to talk to them. She's not supposed to comment on them. She's not supposed to DM with them. Title gifter. Oh, thank you, Kelly. That's so sweet. Look at you, title gifter. I don't know what this is, but that's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hannah. You guys are so sweet. Do I keep contradicting myself? Okay. So she's not able to talk to anyone. A stipulation, thank you, Angelina. A stipulation of her parole is she can't talk to any felons, regardless. Like, no talking, no DMs, no interactions at all. She has been commenting. She has. She actually left a comment on Tuesday's video, and she was reported to parole. And Gypsy called parole and admitted to parole that she did it, okay? So on Wednesday or Thursday of last week, Christie was actually worried that Missouri was going to violate Gypsy, like literally. It was a serious infraction that Gypsy's lawyer had to literally tell her there's an actual chance that you will go back to prison for this. So on Thursday or Friday of last week or Wednesday, Christie was worried that Gypsy was going to go back to prison. So Gypsy has no impulse control. Gypsy also has sent direct messages to her former prison friend, Rachel. That's a violation of parole. She can't talk to anyone. I know her friend Rachel is like all sad and like, Gypsy hates me, but Rachel should know better. Rachel should know that Gypsy can't talk to her as a condition of her parole. Rachel last week posted direct messages between Gypsy and her from January, which is directly a violation of Gypsy's parole. Gypsy made a video where she referenced and spoke about Nick, and that was deemed an attempt through third party to potentially get a message to Nick. And that's why she was told to delete her social media. Okay? He didn't violate her for it, but he told her that she needed to delete her social media. She never listened to him because she never deleted her TikTok. She was supposed to delete her TikTok and she never did. No, she was told. Like on the show, you see, like, I can tell you she was told because when it happened, Christie was freaking out. And she told me she was freaking out. Like, they were concerned that if she didn't delete, she was going to go back to prison. But they are so hungry to make her an influencer that it's like they can't even stick to it. And then half the time, the family is trying to keep her out of prison. Oh, thank you for that hat. Trying to keep her out of prison, that they're like, don't comment, don't do this, don't do that. But then Christie isn't helping her because Christie likes to pick fights with creators. And if you're wondering why it took me so long to actually say the truth, is because I'm well aware that Christie likes to go after people that don't agree with her. Everyone is enabling her, everyone. And I was not going to enable her. I didn't want to enable her, and I refused to enable her. And the more I pushed back and said what they were doing was wrong, what all of them were doing was wrong, the more Gypsy became irritated with me, the more Gypsy got mad at me, the more Gypsy would make excuses with me. And Gypsy actually got so mad at me that she blocked me last week when I said to her, your stepmother is worried that you're going to get violated for parole. That's why she blocked me, because I told her that her stepmother was worried that her behavior was going to get her violated for parole. And Gypsy called me nosy and blocked me. So she doesn't like to hear she doesn't like to be accountable to anyone. She doesn't like to hear the truth. Good for her for blocking me. She doesn't like to hear the word no. She doesn't like to hear that what she's doing is impacting people. On the show, she said, do you remember the episode where she said on last week, she said, my behavior impacts people? Do you remember that? Trisha Paytas. What? Hell no. Someone's tagging Trisha Paytas. Why is Trisha Paytas in here? Is she in here? Anyways, and the reason why I said these things is because I had permission to hold her accountable. Literally. Gypsy wanted me to hold her accountable. That's the kind of relationship we had. That's the kind of relationship Christie wanted me to have with her, was to give her guidance and to give her help and to give her advice. Oh, Trisha spoke about Gypsy. That's why. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Trisha Paytas she is something. Okay. So someone said, is she living with Ken? No, technically. She is not living with Ken, but she stays with Ken a lot. I'm making money off of her now. See, they were actually never upset with me making money. They were never upset with me putting out content about her. They never cared about any of that. But in terms of like, have I made a lot of money on Gypsy? Not really. If you look at my YouTube channel, the majority of what I cover on YouTube is not Gypsy. I cover cults, and I cover sister wives, and I cover the Duggars, and I cover like Ruby Frankie and other like little people, big world, just that kind of stuff. Gypsy is a very small. And I also haven't asked for any money. I don't do that kind of stuff. Okay. What is Ken's true intentions? I'm not a Gemini. I am a Scorpio. Okay. Oh yeah, John and K +8. Yes. Yes, I cover a ton of stuff. Gypsy is not my main topic. Literally, I've just started talking this week about it. I also was an archival consultant on Netflix's Dancing for the Devil, the 7M TikTok cult. I did journalism, I was their journalistic archive consultant that provided all of the backstory and brought subjects into the story. And yeah, I'm if you watch that documentary, I'm friends with Kelly Wilkins, who is Miranda's mom. So yeah, my Instagram was used in that. I was a part of production. Okay. Can I please start over? No. Okay. So Lifetime loves all of this. Basically, they love any drama because it brings views to them. Lifetime doesn't care at all about Gypsy's well-being. They don't care about her mental health. They don't care if this is going to actually help her. All Lifetime cares about is ratings. They don't care if she has a complete mental breakdown. They don't care if she goes back to prison. They don't care if she doesn't succeed. They literally don't care. All this is to them is money. Melissa Moore, who is one of the producers on the show and also helped her with her books, is a trauma vulture that does true crime stuff. She's the dad. Her dad is a serial unaliver. And Melissa Moore has convinced Gypsy that she is famous, that she has haters, and that she has a bag to get. So Melissa has convinced Gypsy and Christie that they need to go get the money. Christie told me in December, we're going to go get the bag. That's all they care about is the money. So much so that now Gypsy is going to be an influencer. And so Christie sent me the PR contract that Gypsy signed and the PR schedule that Gypsy's following for all of her posts on social media, and how Gypsy is going to exploit her pregnancy for views. How Gypsy is going to post videos about ultrasounds and births and pregnancy bumps and go live and talk about pregnancy cravings. And the entire plan that the PR team put together is called the Pregnancy Journey. Gypsy believes that she is famous. Melissa Moore and Lifetime have convinced Gypsy that all she has to do is rebrand herself and she will no longer be looked at as a schmurderer. She has a PR team. I have the full PR schedule of all the posts and all the recommendations and all the videos that they want her to make and all of the recommendations they have made for Gypsy to talk about her pregnancy. They want her to exploit this pregnancy. I can't show it now because I don't know how to do that. I have it. I might talk about it on YouTube. So she signed a contract with this PR team. So this was another thing that Christie was mad at Gypsy for. I have it. I'll show you guys later. There's no reason for you not to trust that I have this. If anyone follows my YouTube channel, y'all know I give you the receipts. Christie was mad at her last week because Gypsy signed with this PR company without talking to her. And Gypsy signed a contract with them for 6 months. And she's spending $7,500 a month just on PR, regardless of what she makes. And then she also hired a manager for $5,000 a month. And Christie was flipping out because Gypsy is basically spending almost $13,000 a month just on business stuff. And at the present moment, she doesn't have any contracts or output to Like, she doesn't have the income coming in to support a $13,000 bill a month. She doesn't have stable income coming in to have that kind of, but she's not, as much as people say that she's making a lot of money on TikTok, she's not making as much money as you would think. And her videos that she gets, they don't make a lot of money. I know there's wild speculation that TikTok pays for likes, but they really don't. They committed like $300 million, I think, or something like that for like all creators. And they pay on average 0.02 cents or something like that, or 2 cents or 4 cents for like 1,000 views. Meaning if you get 1 million views on a video, you make like $40 to $50. No, TikTok doesn't pay much for views. She does not have $3 million. And then TikTok takes like 60 to 75% for the lives. She doesn't get any residuals for the show. So she's making, according to Christie, like $700 a live, $700 to $800 a live. Why am I so invested? Because this is what I do for my job. I don't know why do people think the crime scene photos that are circulating are new? It's still a decent amount. I don't know the last day that Gypsy went live because I'm blocked by her now. I actually have blocked her as well, so I don't know when the last time Gypsy went live on her TikTok was. But either way, it was yesterday. She is profiting off of her crime. Yeah, I don't know why people think that these photos are brand new. All the crime scene photos have been out for years. Someone said, I think many people haven't seen them yet, so they're just now seeing them. Yeah, they're gory. Like, I don't think people realize who they're supporting. Oh, I'm sure the family has a bunch of backup accounts and are watching. Well, being that Gypsy was there when it happened, and that a Barney animal was found with her, and she was covered by blankets. And here's the thing. Nicholas Godejohn said that he didn't cover her with blankets, and Nicholas also didn't put a stuffed animal with her. Gypsy's body was found with a Barney stuffed animal, and the police asked Nick about the Barney stuffed animal, and he said there was no Barney stuffed animal in there, and he claimed that Gypsy didn't see the body, but he's lying. I guarantee you that Gypsy saw that, put the blankets on her mom, and gave her a stuffed animal. Like, the Barney was like right by her head. Nick also only admitted to like 4 stab wounds, and there was like 17. I just don't, I feel like when someone's protesting so much that their hands aren't dirty, like the fact that Gypsy always says, I could never do that to myself, my hands, I could never do that to someone, right? I feel like she's protesting too much. I have a sense that she helped. Nick has told his side. Like, I feel like a lot of people are just coming into this story for the first time because she just got released. Nick has told his side. Nick has literally said he was basically a hired hitman and that Gypsy basically manipulated him into doing this and that he's taking the fall for her. Nick only admitted to 4 stab wounds. I'm from her area. I watched the local news when it happened. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that Gypsy's a lot more... Gypsy tried to shoot her mom. Why wouldn't she stab her? And I know that family members of Dee Dee's believe that Gypsy stabbed her too. I know that several of Dee Dee's siblings don't believe a word that Gypsy says. I know that several of Dee Dee's... So what I can tell you is that this is something that's never sat right with me. And I asked Gypsy this in May. I said, do any of your neighbors speak to you that you lived with in Springfield? Like, do you speak to any of them anymore? And she said, no, no one will talk to her. If she is such a victim, why are none of her former neighbors talking to her? She can be a victim of Dee Dee's, but still be a perpetrator. So if she was such a victim, why are none of her neighbors talking to her? None of them. Not one of the people that she knew, that she lived by for 8 years, will talk to her because they know what she did. And Dee Dee's side of the family don't speak to her other than Bobby. I don't talk to any of the neighbors I used to live by. No, you can't compare this. This was a tight-knit community where Gypsy and Dee Dee were like close to their neighbors. And these were people that like were helping them daily. They were like, they went to her trial. They went to her arraignment. They were in the early documentaries. They don't speak to her anymore. Also, Dee Dee's sisters and brothers refused to speak to her. None of Dee Dee's siblings want anything to do with Gypsy. Christie told me that. Gypsy told me that. They don't buy Gypsy's story. They don't believe that that her hands are clean. They recognize that what Dee Dee did to Gypsy as a child was wrong, and they also recognize that Dee Dee alienated everyone. Dee Dee cut everyone off when they moved to Missouri, so she hadn't even spoken to some of her siblings in years. But they also don't buy her sob story that because Dee Dee wasn't fighting her that night. She wasn't in imminent danger. So Dee Dee's siblings won't talk to her. A lot of her cousins won't talk to her. Her neighbors won't talk to her. Aaliyah won't talk to her. Remember the couple that actually, David Blanchard, that crawled into Kimberly and David Blanchard, who were super close to them, climbed into the house to see, and he didn't see Dee Dee, and then the police came? Kimberly and David want nothing to do with Gypsy. Yeah, so Gypsy's case was never fully investigated because she took a plea. That's correct. You think Dee Dee's siblings want to do anything with her? She's crazy and almost killed Gypsy. Stupid. What? No, they won't want anything to do with Gypsy because their sister is dead. They don't believe Gypsy's story. They know how Gypsy lies. They know how Dee Dee taught her how to lie. And as much as they were angry with Dee Dee, they also knew that Dee Dee was very mentally ill. No, they didn't always speak badly about Dee Dee. That's not true. Her dad said stuff about her on the series that wasn't kind. But one of her brothers, did you watch Gypsy's Revenge? One of her brothers was very angry at Gypsy and said, I don't care what Dee Dee did to that girl. She did not deserve to be killed. I still love my sister. Even if she did some of that stuff, that's no reason for someone to die. Dee Dee has siblings? What are you talking about? Dee Dee has there was 6 siblings and Dee Dee was the youngest. She's got 2 brothers and 3 sisters. Gypsy has 3 siblings on her dad's side. I don't know what her grandpa might have done. Her grandpa's response to it was that Gypsy did it to him, and that's kind of a weird response for an old guy, if you know what I'm saying, but I have no room to talk. Okay, Kayla, I love you. She hasn't had a full psychological test, according to Christie. I don't know about. Here's the thing. I know that was floated by Christie, mostly, in Mommy, Dead, and Dearest. And you have to understand that Christie and Dee Dee hated each other because they were romantic rivals. And Rod was dating Christie for a while, and then they broke up for a bit, and then he dated Dee Dee and got her pregnant, and then he also got another woman pregnant when he and Christie were on a break, and then he got back together with Christie, and so Christie got back together with him, and he had 2 kids during the period of time that they weren't together. So this idea that Christie and Dee Dee were close is, I'll tell you with confidence that Christie hates Dee Dee, never said anything nice about her to me, and repeatedly said that Dee Dee deserved to die. So she hates Dee Dee. Christie hates Dee Dee and has told me that she deserved to die. Did you not see her when she was interviewed for Prison Confessions? And they said, did you know that Gypsy shot at her mom? And you know what Christie's response was? Good for her. Good for her. That's on the episode. She found out that Gypsy shot her mom, and Christie said, good for her. Christie hated Dee Dee. Half the reason why they had nothing to do with Gypsy was because of Dee Dee, and because Dee Dee tried to stop them from getting married. So Dee Dee and him got married in the church, and they're Catholic. And when Christie and Rod were going to get married, Dee Dee went to the priest and told him that they were still married and that he couldn't marry them. And so Dee Dee tried to stop Rod and Christie's marriage. And Christie has never forgiven Dee Dee for that. And she's never forgiven Dee Dee for getting pregnant and being married to Rod when they were on a break. Is it true? Does Rod have a good relationship with his other daughter? He literally just reconnected with her like in the last year. This says, I think Rod has a type is what I'm going to say. I wouldn't classify like Christie as like Dee Dee because I don't think that Christie hurt Mia or Dylan. But I definitely think that Rod has a type because he's pretty laid back and he's pretty passive and like mellow. And he has a type where he's attracted to women that are very like alpha. Very alpha. Like Christie is very crass and she'll, yeah. He like wants women that are like rowdy and dominant, and that's Christie. My phone is gonna die. I'm shocking you right now. Oh my gosh, I have 100,000 likes. That's cool. She does like to start trouble. She also likes to threaten to kick people's asses, which is weird. Choose kindness. I'm singing your YouTube things. My phone, what is it? Oh my God, plug in your phone. Don't stop my live. Okay, hold on. I gotta go upstairs. Be careful. So Rod is gone a lot. Obviously, y'all know that because he's a boat captain. Oh, hold on. He's a boat captain, and so he's gone a lot. Now I'm upstairs. I can plug my phone in here. Will they get mad at you? I don't care if they're mad at me. Okay, I'm charging. My phone is charging. Am I worried about my safety? Well, Robert Shin is suing me. So, like, I have all kinds of cult leaders after me. The last people I'm actually worried about would be the Blanchards. Be too public to do anything stupid. I don't care if they're mad at me. I don't really care. Be mad. You're the one that's, like, I'm done, like, co-signing what they think they're doing. I told them that, I told Christie in December that if this gets to a situation where I see that all they're doing is profiting off of this and that there isn't going to be care, concern, or thought of retribution and amends, making amends, and it was just going to be about her basically promoting herself and being famous, I wasn't going to support it. I told her that in December. I told her that if it went this direction, I would not be supportive of this at all, that I would be out, that I didn't endorse that. I said, I like literally told her that I actually had sort of like a, the thing with Christie is she'll like listen to feedback, and a lot of the time she'll like tell you what you want to hear. So she always was like open to my feedback, and she always wanted my feedback because we had been friendly for 5 years. It wasn't like I was just some weird person just giving her advice or whatever. But I told her like I didn't like the direction things were going with Lifetime. I told her I didn't like Melissa Moore. I told her I felt like it was wrong for them to exploit this and profit off of what happened because Dee Dee is a victim. As much as you want to make her the bad guy, she's also a victim in this crime. Like, she was only 48 years old. If she were still alive today, she would be 57 years old. She was very young. She didn't have to be. You know, if something illegal had happened, it should have been handled in the court of law. It should not have been taken to that extent. And I think it's unfair to say that she got what she deserved, because I don't think that, I think she should have been in prison. I don't believe in capital punishment. Yeah, and they absolutely could have gotten her mental health care, all of that, 100%. I'm not defensive of Dee Dee. Why is it defensive? It's weird to me that like a victim that has been unalived, saying that it's wrong for someone to be unalived is somehow being defensive of someone. Is that weird? Like, I didn't know that we lived in this society where we took justice into our own hands and we decided who gets to live and who gets to die. That's not the society that I want to live in. Even if I don't like someone and they've done bad things, I still don't want them to be unalived. Like, at all. There's a reason why we have a justice system. Okay. You aren't wrong. Okay, so I told them that I didn't agree if it was going to be like going that route. I don't know why my eyes look different. I think there's some weird filter on, because my eyes are not that light. I told them if it was going to go that route, it wasn't going to be good. And I also told them that it was inappropriate to call people that criticized them as haters. I said, Gypsy's not an influencer. She doesn't have haters. I said, Gypsy's a convicted schmurderer. People have a right not to like her. They're justified not liking her. It's actually normal not to like schmurderers. Schmurderers are generally not glorified, amplified, justified. And so people that don't agree with Gypsy are not haters. They're people that are responding to the atrocity and the severity of what Gypsy did. The kind of crime that Gypsy committed is one of the most egregious crimes anyone could ever commit. The depth of the gore and the brutality of the crime that was committed against Dee Dee is one of the most egregious types of crimes that anyone can commit. So people that don't agree with that are not haters. And they don't seem to get that. They truly think that if you don't see Gypsy as a victim and you don't view this homicide as justified, that you are a hater. When I cover influencers as my job, Christie is 53. I know people keep asking that. You knew all this from the get-go. I'm telling you my conversations from them. The reason why I was able to stay in communication with them was because I was able to have these conversations with them. Privately, I was never co-signing what they were doing, right? So to act like privately I was supporting this when privately I wasn't, nothing's really changed. Because I'm telling you, I told them this in December. I told them in December they don't have haters. I told them in December that they don't have fans. I didn't use them. They used me. It's my business so that I... Okay. Gypsy was not a victim the night that Dee Dee was unalived. Dee Dee was asleep. She had taken a sleeping pill. She was completely vulnerable, and there was absolutely no threat to Gypsy's life. Zero. Dee Dee had been in and out of the hospital dealing with severe kidney stones and was like having serious complications with her diabetes in the months leading up to her death. And Gypsy actually, for the 6 or so months before her mom passed away, was actually taking care of her mom. Gypsy was able to like get out of her house and like have more freedom because her mom was sick. So that's not false. That's actually true. There's old posts from their old shared Facebook account that's no longer up, but the screenshots are all in this Facebook group that was started the day that all this happened. And Gypsy was like posting about taking care of her mom after she was in the hospital multiple times and she had had surgery to remove kidney stones. I didn't know Gypsy because I couldn't. I didn't know her then. And I'm not crying. I don't know why you think I'm crying. It's probably just the eyes. Okay. I tried to help Gypsy. Gypsy won't listen to anyone. Sorry, my eyes are watering now, but no, Gypsy won't listen to anyone. Okay. I spoke to Gypsy 2 times. I spoke to Gypsy on the phone twice, but I texted with her all the time, and I spoke to Christie for 5 years. 5 years. Christie will not, if Christie denies that we were like talked, she's a fool. I have 5 years of receipts. Okay. Someone said, what about Becca Scoops? So my thing about Becca Scoops is I watched her videos. Some of you guys asked me about that. I watched Becca's videos. I was a little confused by Becca's 5th video, though. It really felt like in that video that I don't disagree that Gypsy manipulated Nick, and I also don't disagree that Nick wouldn't have done it if not for Gypsy. But it's not fair to say that Nick didn't say things to Gypsy that weren't kind. Fair to say that Nick didn't play a dominant role in their role playing. It's also not fair to say that Nick didn't make comments to Gypsy that were also abusive. It like went both ways. They had a very toxic relationship that was like back and forth. I believe that Gypsy was the mastermind, but to try to like take all of the account off the fact that Nick made the choice to do it, he's guilty too. He's guilty. They're both guilty. They're co-defendants. I think everyone wants to say that because Gypsy pursued him or whatever, that he's not guilty, but he's guilty. Like, they're both guilty. Do I agree with his sentence? Not really. I remember when he was sentenced, And I actually told Christie that I thought it was horribly, like, unjust. Like, I don't think he should be sentenced to life without a possibility for parole. And then she gets 10 years. I just, I felt the disparity in the sentences was a huge problem. So Nick was never deemed incompetent to stand trial, ever. At no time during they have standards that they have to meet for the court, and he was never deemed incompetent. And due to his autism, he was never deemed incapable of deliberating. So from a legal standpoint, he was never deemed incompetent, and he was never deemed incapable of deliberating. So that's all I can say, like, from a legal standpoint. Like, from a personal opinion wise, do I think that's fair? No. Do I think that he had severe mental illness on top of his autism? Yes. Do I think his trial was fair? Listen, Nick didn't do himself any favors. Nick gave multiple interviews where he confessed in interviews on documentaries about what he did. Gypsy never had a trial, so they didn't take her medical records seriously. In fact, that had nothing to do with her trial. Her medical records, her plea deal was very political, to be honest. But regardless, Nick's sentence wasn't fair. I think they both struggle with taking adequate responsibility, and I think they both point fingers at each other. And I think that's normal when there's co-defendants, because it helps both of them with their defense. I think that's a normal part of crime. If justice was fair, they would have been given the same sentence. But I don't really control any of that. Are you a lawyer? No, I'm literally just answering questions, and someone asked for my opinion. There are real medical records. In fact, there's over 1,200 pages of medical records. I have seen the crime scene photos, yes. I don't discount that Gypsy was that her mom was very controlling, and that her mom, I mean, here's the thing, Dee Dee's siblings do not deny that Dee Dee was controlling of her daughter, that Dee Dee was exaggerating and taking advantage of people and using Gypsy as a pawn. Even her siblings don't deny that. So I think it's just, like, really disconcerting for the public to somehow be like, no, Gypsy wasn't a victim in some of this. But being a victim of child abuse doesn't excuse unaliving your mom. The Turpin children, the Turpin 13, who are some of the most famous for being held captive by their parents, never did anything to their parents. They went to the police. I'm not crying. I don't know why. This filter is weird. I'm not crying. But the Turpins went to the police. Gypsy was in on the fraud. Gypsy was being investigated for fraud. Gypsy and her mom could have both been arrested for fraud at any time. It's hard to know if Dee Dee was holding that over Gypsy's head, and that Gypsy knew whether or not, like, if she left, if her mom would turn her in for fraud, because they were both stealing. They were both shoplifting. Dee Dee was actually held at Hobby Lobby a few months before her death for shoplifting. She was detained in Hobby Lobby for shoplifting. So Dee Dee and Gypsy has admitted to shoplifting. I don't know who the baby's father is. I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. And as far as Christie and Ken, there's nothing weird going on there. Christie didn't like Ryan. Ryan's parents had Christie's number. Like, Ryan's mom could see through Christie. Christie believed that Ryan's mom was, like, super controlling and, like, overly involved. But I think Ryan's mom had the capacity to see how toxic Christie was. And Ryan's mom believed that the Blanchards were very toxic. Very toxic. I'm not crying. It's the filter. And Christie didn't like that Ryan could see through her. And Christie didn't like that Ryan's mom could see through her. And Gypsy had a therapist that also could see through her. So to me, it's just Christie. I think Ken is easier for Gypsy. I personally think that Ken is easier for Christie to control. Ryan is more of like an alpha. He's more like, how do I describe it? Ryan's just more like, he's self-assured, he's confident, he has a bachelor's degree. He's a dominant personality, kind of like Christie's. Christie and Ryan both have dominant personalities. And Ken does not. Ken is very passive, and he's more easily to like, yeah, Ryan definitely has a backbone and will like stand up for himself. And Ken is like easy to like railroad and manipulate and control. I don't know why she would want her to be with either one, frankly. If you were gonna make me pick between the two, and I don't really like either, I would say that Ryan at least had a job. 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 Available for holidays, and they're almost always working until close. And the money that they make to support you is made on the weekends until bar close when people are getting drunk. And so if you, as a new mother, think that your quote unquote new man is going to be around with a baby, he won't, because they work 5 days a week and the money is, the money fluctuates. There's good months, there's bad months, there's nights that are dead. If there's a recession, no one goes to restaurants, no one eats out anymore. And it's also not long-term employment. Most restaurants don't offer benefits for their staff. There's very few restaurants that have full-time bartenders. A lot of bartenders are like 3/4 time so that they don't have to get benefits. And I worked in the restaurant industry for years, so I know this personally. It's hard. And then if someone said, and it's flirty, that's another thing. If you're worried about if your man's gonna like have access to other women and relationships, bartenders are like the last person you want to be dating, because girls are always flirting with the bartenders. So I was trying to explain to her, like, long term, do you really think like the best guy for you is some guy that's a bartender, that's gone all the time, getting hit on, like, and then she's like, oh, well, he's not going to be a bartender forever. And I was like, well, what's he going to do? Well, he's going to move into becoming the person that works for the liquor brands that sells alcohol to the restaurants. And I said to her, you're really going to marry a guy when you're admitting that you have just recovered from an addiction to opioids without ever going through treatment. You've admitted to having problems with substance abuse yourself. You're going to marry a guy that works at a bar as a bartender and is going to sell alcohol for his living. It's just, liquor distributors can make good money, yes, but yeah. Do I know anything about the fights? So I know that they've been arguing. Christie told me that they've been arguing. Christie told me last week that Gypsy's been going through his phone, that they have arguments about ex-girlfriends, that she's super insecure, that she's been hiding stuff from him. She's told Christie like 2 weeks ago that Ken is too immature to be a father, and she doesn't even know if she should stay with him because she doesn't think that he'll be a good dad to her baby. I mean, every other day they're having a fight. Gypsy is unstable. I'm telling the internet so that you're here. Jody, why are you here? I think it's weird when people are like, well, why are you spilling this? But those are the same people that are like in this live stream asking questions. So you're like in the live stream being nosy, listening, right? And you're here watching, and you're all mad that I'm sharing this information, but you're still listening. All right. I don't think Ryan should take her back. I don't think she should really have a relationship with anyone. I think Ryan is better off without her. I think that Ken should run to the hills. I think that someone said, do I think that CPS will be involved? Yes. I think Gypsy is a fool if she thinks that she can like monetize her pregnancy and then say that she's not going to exploit her baby. I know she'll exploit that kid, and she'll put it all out on the internet for money. And these are my opinions. And 100% she's not at all in my opinion, ready to be a mother. She doesn't even know how to take care of herself. How is she going to take care of a child? She's going to be, in my opinion, it's not even just that she's like her mom. Her mom had more social skills than Gypsy. Dee Dee actually went to regular high school. She went to regular school. She wasn't like not socialized. Like Gypsy never went to school. She was homeschooled her whole life. And she has no social skills. Gypsy's mom did everything for her, literally. Gypsy doesn't know how to take care of herself. Like, I don't know how she thinks she's going to be taking care of a baby. It's not her fault, no. But it's also not her, it's that child. She barely knows how to take care of herself. So, Christie, I told Christie last week, I said, if you're going to have Gypsy be an influencer, your haters that you say you have haters, even though she doesn't have haters, she has people that don't like that she's a schmurderer, are going to be calling CPS on her every day. And Christie's like, oh, I'm aware. I know that CPS will be involved. I will honestly be surprised if Gypsy even raises the child herself, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Rod and Christie have to end up raising the kid. I don't think Gypsy and Ken will make it to the birth. No way. I know I told them she already got rid of the puppy. Let's make, like, things get hard, she's gonna get rid of the baby. I don't think that Ken will be no. Gypsy will alienate Ken, and Gypsy will push Ken away because she'll do exactly what her mom did. Do you know how hard it would be for a paternal grandmother to get the baby? It's more possible that, like, the maternal side would get the baby. Did Christie ever tell you? No, Christie didn't overstep boundaries because Gypsy was probably already talking to Ken. They probably were pretending like it was brand new information, to be honest, because Gypsy never stopped talking to Ken. Danny Masterson. Oh, that's an unfortunate name. I'm so sorry. People acting like these crime scene photos are new. They're not. But does Christie overstep? Yes. Does Christie control her? Yes. Does Christie have a bad, like, relationship and enable Gypsy? Yes. Is Christie out for money? Yes. Is Christie an opportunist? Yes. Is Christie setting a terrible example for Gypsy? Yes. Does Christie actually care about Gypsy? No. Because anyone that actually cares about Gypsy the last thing they would have done is put cameras in her face when she was coming out of prison and profited off of this and thought it would help her. How did any of this help her? None of this has helped her. Every new clip that comes out from Lifetime makes Gypsy look more psychopathic and sociopathic and guilty. This series has shown the world who Gypsy is, and not in a good way. Before this series, people actually believed the lie that Gypsy was this harmless mouse that was just completely victimized and played no role. And now the series has shown her to be a liar without empathy for anyone else and taking joy in hurting people. It's making people realize that they supported a schmurderer when they should have thought about the victim. And it took away from, they spent all their time filming when she really should have been in therapy. She should be in intense therapy. If Gypsy really cared about her, if she truly cared about her well-being and her future, and if her family truly cared about her, they would actually probably check her into inpatient therapy, like into treatment. Gypsy's never had treatment for substance abuse disorder, and she could definitely benefit from mental health, like inpatient therapy. Does she need a conservatorship? Gypsy, yes. If I were the family, I would have her, but Gypsy won't get a proper diagnosis to actually verify that she needs one. You actually have to have a doctor say that she's incapable, and she won't do that. Gypsy's mom probably wasn't lying. Dee Dee probably wasn't lying when she said that Gypsy would not be able to function on her own. I don't think Gypsy has the capacity to function on her own. I do think she has some sort of cognitive or severe personality disorder or something. That's just my opinion. I'm not a mental health professional. It's not trauma. I don't think that she has, what do you call it, borderline? I don't think she's borderline. If you actually was like, were around her and you had to like deal with what she does to people, it's not borderline. She's more sociopathic. Like it's like, I actually watched this video by Dr. Grande on YouTube, and he described antisocial personality disorder, and he was describing how people act that have it and how it manifests in personalities. And it describes, it was like describing my experience with Gypsy and her family's experience with her to a T. Like, she's not borderline. She's antisocial personality disorder with narcissism, like malignant narcissism, because she enjoys hurting people. She gets vendettas and she finds joy in the drama and the chaos of hurting people. I never said I could diagnose her. I just said I watched the video by Dr. Grande, and it literally described the experience that the family is dealing with Gypsy to a T. And when I told Christie last week that Gypsy could be a sociopath with antisocial personality disorder, Christie didn't disagree. Christie didn't disagree that Gypsy could be antisocial personality disorder. Dr. Feldman, Mark Feldman, who's the leading expert in Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and he's done studies on it, and he's written a book on it. He actually he's followed Gypsy's story since the very beginning, and he was asked about Gypsy in 2017 or 2018 he was asked to talk about all of her media, like all of the interviews she's giving and all of like the documentaries that she was doing. And he was asked to talk about her behavior post conviction, like post plea deal and going to prison, and like what he makes of all of her different stories and how she's acting. And the number one thing that Dr. Feldman said, and he's a psychiatrist, he's never treated her, but Dr. Feldman said it would be impossible for Gypsy to have had the childhood that she had, to have not picked up what her mom had taught her, and that Gypsy was exhibiting all the signs of someone that has antisocial personality disorder, and he called her a sociopath. He said it would be almost impossible for her not to be a sociopath. The family were shocked. I literally sent them that article 2 weeks ago. They had no idea. The misinformation I'm spreading is alarming. No. So Dr. Mark Feldman told the Springfield Ledger or something, it's like the main paper that's in Springfield, Missouri. He said that it would be impossible for her. So I'm not like, oh, Ryan Lee. Christie hates Ryan Lee. I don't know anything about Ryan Lee, but I know that they hate her. Regardless, I don't care what you think, if she's a victim or not a victim. You're on my side. Well, thank you, Ryan. A lot of the people that Christie hates are not bad people. So I'm just saying Christie hates her. I don't know anything about her. They hate Ryan because Ryan probably said the truth about her. I'm sure that's why. They hate anyone that says the truth about them. She just said she didn't the other day. Oh, if she said that to you, she's lying. She hates you. She hates Nina. She hates Ryan. Oh no, she's using you, Ryan. If she says that she doesn't hate you, she's just using you she wants you to help her put out a video or something. Imagine being alive, worried about someone else's business like this, like so much free time. Hey, Tyler, imagine watching someone's live, commenting about someone else's business and saying they have so much time on their hands, and yet you're watching the live with time on your hands. Christie's hen's still trying to pit us against each other. It's disgusting. Yeah, Christie likes to pit everyone against each other. And currently her favorite person to do her bidding is Bree. And the reason why she likes Bree, and I'll tell you this, is because Bree doesn't ever question anything she says. Bree never pushes back. Bree believes every single lie that they tell her. Bree always enables and justifies everything that Gypsy does and says. And Bree never thinks that anything she does is wrong. You could tell Bree, I've literally only texted with her twice, and it was one time was last week. And Bree can justify everything that Gypsy does. And Bree gets Gypsy really ramped up and makes Gypsy feel like she should go fight. I've been on for hours. Well, you guys told me I'm not done with the story. Why do people think because you don't want to deal with the people in the story because they're liars means you're done with the story? I have been answering your questions. I'm Katie Joy, and I'm from Without a Crystal Ball, and I'm a YouTube reporter. I have a channel on YouTube with 374,000 subscribers. I have an Instagram with 144, almost 145,000 subscribers. My TikTok is newer. I only have like 16,000 subscribers, maybe. I don't even know. I have been covering cults and reality television and true crime and the Gypsy Blanchard case since 2018. They hate Ryan Lee. That's all I know, Ryan. They hate you. They hate Hello Starlight. They think you're foul. You can't be trusted. But then if you are nice to them again, they'll talk to you. They hate Nina. They hate, what else do they hate? They're obsessed with Nina. They hate Fancy. Fancy is not easy to like, though. Like, Fancy is like impossible to like, even if you think a tiny fraction of what she says is true. Her delivery is horrible. Everyone is nice to Christie. Christie's just, why is Christie spending all of her time talking to content creators? Isn't that weird? Like, if you really cared about your stepdaughter and her recovery, why do you care what content creators are saying about your stepdaughter? How does that help your stepdaughter? Like, why is Christie so involved with so many content creators? That was another thing that I thought was so weird. Like, she would tell me all this stuff, and I was like, what are you doing? Why are you talking to all these people? And then she gets mad when all of her information is out there. So she talks to everyone. She talks to Ryan. She talks to, I mean, hell, she probably talks to Nina. I wouldn't be surprised if if they're in Nina's DMs under somebody else's name, feeding information to Nina to get them to talk about her. You know, like, who knows? I'm sure. Who else? I mean, why is she so invested? And I find it very strange that Christie is so invested with these very small creators. Like, why? Why? Like, Ryan's YouTube is very small. I don't know I have no idea what your TikTok account has, but why is she invested with these small creators? Why isn't she messing with the bigger creators? It's weird. Why isn't she messing with the creators that talk about Gypsy that have 1 million followers or 2 million followers? Why isn't she messing with the YouTube creators that are on YouTube that are true crime that have 2 million followers or subscribers? Why is she only messing with these small creators? Because she can influence them and manipulate them more. She's not messing with anyone that has a big platform. And the reason why she doesn't mess with me and she didn't tell me to do stuff was because my platform was bigger. Like, I feel like she couldn't control me in a way that, like, she can control other people. And I could post things that were critical of Gypsy and she didn't care. In fact, the last post I made, which I said that I wasn't blindly following, she agreed with and didn't care that I posted that. Gypsy got mad at me for that post, but Christie didn't. Oh, she'll come after me. I have no doubt. Why do you think it took me so long to speak out? But if she comes for me, she'd be stupid. Because I have all of the receipts and she's the one that has a child on parole, right? I'm not a convicted felon. I'm not a convicted schmurderer. She should be focusing on the convicted schmurderer that is pregnant with some man's baby that they don't even know who the father is, that's still married and having an affair with a man, and she got pregnant within weeks of leaving her husband, so who knows who the baby daddy is. If she's coming after creators, she's not taking care of what's happening in her own house. It's easier to start yelling at everyone online when her own house is a damn mess. She can't even keep Gypsy straight. She can't keep Gypsy from getting in trouble. And we're supposed to worry what Christie has to say? You can't keep Gypsy from the basics of not getting pregnant with another man's child while she's still married? Oh no, Christie, you were facilitating the affair and trying to help the affair from happening. As Mia said, what kind of morals do you have when a married woman is telling another married woman that if you wanted to cheat, it's okay? The look on Mia's face with her mother was exactly how I felt. What mother is encouraging their daughter to cheat? Yeah, they keep saying Ken is the father. I don't believe it. LOL, they did a pregnancy test for her nose surgery. Yeah, that's what they say. And who knows? Gypsy can't tell. Gypsy lies about everything. everything. It could be, she could even not be pregnant and making up the whole ultrasound for fake, and they could all be going along with it. Like, that's how crazy these people are. CPS can't be involved because there's no baby yet. I mean, CPS is child welfare. They're not fetus welfare. What happened with me and Christie? Christie's a liar. Christie instigated, manipulated, all of it. Season 2, episode 8 was my end point with Christie. When I saw her getting into a fight with her own daughter, do you know why I blocked Christie? Because Christie was on camera telling her biological child basically to shut up and that her meal ticket stepdaughter, who's a schmurderer, is her priority. Imagine telling your biological daughter, who you raised, shaming her, and then telling her that her priority is a stepdaughter that she hadn't even seen for 8 years until her crime. That had to have broken Mia's heart to ever say that to a child. Mia, you know why you're not the priority to Christie? Because you're not profitable. You know why, Mia? Because you're going to school to be a nurse. You're not looking for fame. You're just a normal human. You aren't the story. The only reason Gypsy is the priority for Christie is because Christie can make money. Christie has shown absolutely no signs that she actually cares about the well-being of her stepdaughter, because no parent would put their child that has gone through, quote unquote, all of this abuse and get them out of prison and have cameras in their faces to document all of it. None of that was helping Gypsy. Christie said on live that she didn't even remember the discussion with Mia when it aired. Okay, I don't know what's going on with Christie, but when I talked to her last, she sounded like she was on pain pills. I don't know. She's been dealing with a lot of migraines. She sounded really slow the last time I talked to her. Our last conversation last week, I honestly wondered if she was on something. I don't know if she was on a migraine med that was making her slow, but she was slurring when I was on the phone with her. They do that. She's got migraines and she's got chronic pain, so she could have very well been on something. I don't know. Why would I slander her like that? Did you watch the show? Did she not appear to be slurring at times? That's my opinion. That's my opinion. And she has chronic migraines. So she could have been on something for her migraine. And I've had chronic migraines. And sometimes when you're on migraine meds, you don't make the best choices because you don't feel good. She wants money in Ken. She wants Ken because she can manipulate him. Christie's the one that put herself online looking like that, you know? Anyways. I used to have chronic migraines, and I used to be prescribed Imitrex. And if I had a really bad migraine, I would go to the doctor and they would give me a shot of, I can't even remember, it starts with a D. And some of the meds that they give for it are so strong. No, it wasn't Nurtec. Demerol. No, I think it was Demerol. Not Dilaudid. No, Demerol. Yeah, and Toradol. I've had shots of Toradol and Demerol. No, not Demerol and Toradol. Why are the same? Okay, I'm sorry. You're spamming this comment. You're getting blocked. She doesn't even take any of that? Okay, great. Then I don't know why she sounded so slow. Here comes Christie's friends. I don't know if she's on anything, but she's been having like migraines. That's what she told me. Every day she has a migraine. That every day she'd be like, I'm going to bed. I have a migraine. I never said Toradol was a narcotic. Bree thinks everything that Gypsy does is valid. Oh, Gypsy's racist? Is Gypsy racist? I didn't know that. Allegedly. People in the chat are crazy. They are. Someone said I'm using Toradol and Benadryl. I'm so going live. RMFLL. I don't know. I'm not talking as much. I don't really care if Christie's friends are in here. I'm sure Christie's screen recording all of it, and she's probably sending it to her lawyer, and she's going to be like, I'm going to sue you, Katie. I'm going to sue everyone that talks about me. I don't have, so the beauty for me, I actually stopped having migraines once I had my son. I don't know why, but I used to get chronic migraines, and I got them every single month when I would have my period. And then after I gave birth, I have not had a migraine since. I used to go to the hospital, to the ER. I was on maintenance meds for migraines. And then as soon as I had my child, I've never had another migraine. You started getting them after your last baby. The lawyer is literally like suing everyone. Christie's like been trying to sue everyone since 2015. Everyone's slandering Christie. She's gonna send an email. I don't know. The last time, I don't know who she was telling me about. She was so mad about some creator, and she was like, I'm going to pull my receipts, and I'm not going to respond, but when I do, I'm going to destroy them. And I'm like, Christie, it's not that serious. Like, who cares? It's some person online. It's like, okay for you guys to like blast your whole lives everywhere, but like if someone dares to respond to you, it's like you got to have like your 13 piles of receipts. Like, why are you so focused on the haters, the people that actually find murder to be abhorrent? I actually don't have a negative opinion on Rod, to be honest. I think most people that know the family know that Rod is super chill. He doesn't agree with any of this. He really doesn't agree with anything that Gypsy's doing right now. Rod and Mia are probably like on the same page. Same with Dylan, but Christie is like on the crazy train right now. Do you know that song by Ozzy Osbourne? Remember that song, Crazy Train? Crazy. That's like the train that Christie's on with Gypsy right now. And you know that song? Like, I love that song, to be honest. Yeah, she's on the crazy train. Gypsy and Christie are very similar, and they do not bring out the best in each other. They actually bring out the worst in each other. Going off the rails, yeah. Going off the rails on a crazy train. I wish I could play the song. Do they fight a lot? I don't know. Even Bree told me that Bunny. Who's Bunny? Is there someone in here named Bunny that's like... Why don't I see this Bunny chick? Also, please don't. Who's this Bunny girl that like... Planted Bunny. Oh. I don't see her. I don't know where that Planted Bunny chick is. She's probably not going to comment now because I am looking for her. Bunny said she talked to Christie for 5 hours today. Why is Christie on the phone with content creators for 5 hours? Isn't that weird? No, it's because Christie is trying to clean up her... Like, Christie is so obsessed with... She can't keep track of all the people she lies to and uses and, like... takes advantage of, and so she spends most of her time trying to clean up the damage that she causes. I'm starting to wonder if Christie is also a narcissist with the amount of time she spends online trying to get people to defend her. Like, Christie's weird. Here's the thing, Christie. Stop using... Goodbye, Planted Bunny. You're blocked. Yes, Planted Bunny is blocked now. Okay. Oh, Bree ended her live to send anyone over here. I thought Bree was banned from TikTok. I do think Christie's narcissistic. Why would she spend so much time worrying about what people online think about her? Can you think about Gypsy? When she does a live, Gypsy sometimes has 50,000 people watching her lives. Think of that. 50,000 people tuning into what Gypsy says, and Christie's worried about fraction of those people that don't like Gypsy. Why isn't she focused on the 50,000 people that are supporting her and paying her bills? Right? Christie's the one that chose Lifetime. Christie's the one that worked the contract. I am Amanda. Yes, I need clout off Gypsy. Y'all are so funny. Do I have proof? Why are these people with all these 18s and 19s and 16s and 13s? Do you think she's scheming with Bree about how she's gonna like get Katie for having an opinion that doesn't fit her narrative? Hey, Christie, if you're watching, I just want to ask you something. Christie, I would like you to explain to Gypsy why you think she's a sociopath. Tell Gypsy that you agreed with me last week that she's a sociopath. Christie, tell Gypsy how you told me last week that you think she's out of control. Christie, tell Gypsy that you're telling people online that she needs people to hold her accountable. Christie, tell Gypsy that you told me last week that you are fully prepared and know that CPS will be involved with the baby because you are fully prepared and know that Gypsy is not prepared to be a mother. Christie, tell Gypsy about all of the people that you're talking to about Gypsy behind her back. Christie, why are you talking to people behind your stepdaughter's back, telling them that you believe she's a sociopath, not equipped to being a mother, and why are you telling them that you know that CPS is going to be involved? Is that what a mother that loves a child tells people? Christie, why are you spending so much time spreading all of this negativity about a stepdaughter that you claim that you love? Why are you in people's DMs, on content creators' Facebook pages, leaving comments? Oh, Conspiracy is in here. I actually like her content. She, Conspiracy is like easy to listen to. She doesn't get too sensationalized about it. I like creators that are like that talk about her, where she doesn't like get too in the weeds about some of the outlandish stuff. I actually watched some of her videos. I think she's actually very funny too. So Christie, she is adorable. Conspiracy is cute. Yeah, I like her content. So Christie, why are you privately telling everyone that you can't control Gypsy? Why are you privately spreading her PR information around? Why are you privately telling people that like you were yelling at her and like chased her into a shed and like we're trying to tell her to get offline and controlling what she's done and telling her that she puts so many fires out on the internet that she can't keep up? And then why, when you go live with Gypsy, are you pretending like you haven't been having to mediate all of the fights between Gypsy and Ken? Why are you publicly acting like Ken is the good guy when you know full well that Gypsy and Ken are fighting like crazy? And why are you telling people that Gypsy is going through Ken's phone constantly and picking fights with Ken for having photos of ex-girlfriends when Gypsy's entire marriage is all on television? They are fighting. Because Christie told me this. I know this because Christie told me this. Christie told me last week that Gypsy's going through Ken's phone. Christie told me last week that Gypsy and Ken have been fighting, that Gypsy doesn't trust Ken, that she got mad because Ken had like 5 photos of his ex-girlfriend in her phone, that she gets mad at Ken for being immature. She thinks Ken is immature. She doesn't think Ken will be a good father. And then Christie told Gypsy that she had a lot of nerve to say that Ken was immature. Why would Christie tell me this? Because I've known her for 5 years. The T is teen. 5 years I've known Christie. No, Christie doesn't have the hots for Ken. You guys, Christie doesn't have the hots for Ken. It's not like that. Christie doesn't think like that. It's not about having the hots for Ken. Christie has the hots for power and control and manipulation. And she can control Ken better than she can control Ryan, and Ryan hated her. But Ken is a passive beta man that Christie can steamroll. I'm not friends with her. He's so beta. I always thought that's why they don't like Ryan, because he's an alpha. You guys, speculating on Ken's sexuality doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Honestly. Even if Ken were bisexual, who cares? Like, Who cares? Gypsy claims that she's bisexual. So who freaking cares? Men can be bisexual, by the way. You know that, right? Like, men can have had relationships with other men and also date women. And it doesn't mean that they don't like women. So even if he were, it's irrelevant. Who cares? Well, Gypsy doesn't care if it's a man or a woman. And if he doesn't want to tell you the truth, it's none of your business. Why is it anyone's business if he's had sex with another man? It's not. Why is it anyone's business if he's had sex with another woman? He's not. You wouldn't care if he had sex with another woman. Why do you care if he's had sex with another man? Right? He had a whole other girlfriend for 4 years or 3 years. Why do you not care that he had sex with another woman? Why doesn't that bother you? Why aren't you all sweating about that? You're my new favorite on here. Who cares if he had sex with men? He claims he hasn't, and it's none of my business. Frankly, I don't care who they have sex with. I'd rather not know about any of it. You need to be a mod. Do I think Christie will talk with me still? No, because I have her blocked. I have her blocked on TikTok. I have her blocked on Facebook. I have her blocked on Instagram, and I have her phone number blocked. I have zero interest in ever talking to Christie again, because the only thing that would come out of Christie's mouth would be a freaking lie to try to manipulate me to see things her way so that she can continue to exploit Gypsy for profit. Nobody cares about Gypsy. Not even Gypsy. Gypsy doesn't care about Gypsy. But I don't expect Gypsy to care about Gypsy because of the way she was raised and like what she went through in her life. But I would expect the people that actually had life experience that are parents to care about her, and they don't. Maybe we'll talk one day. Yeah. Christie hates everyone. Oh, and she manipulated Rod by saying that if Rod would have told Gypsy not to get married, that would have been the answer. That's not fair to put that on Rod. And Gypsy would have still married Ryan even if Rod said no. Look what Rod flat out told Gypsy not to get pregnant. And what did Gypsy do? She got pregnant. That's just an excuse to take off the responsibility for Gypsy. It's not Rod's responsibility to tell his daughter, who's a grown-ass woman, what to do. And to put that on Rod is a guilt trip. And it's cruel. And it's making him feel like it's his fault that this happened. And it's not his fault. It's Gypsy's fault. The way that she was treating Rod, the way that she treated her daughter, was when I knew I didn't want anything to do with her, because I would never be friends with someone that would actually be that cruel to their husband and their daughter. Rod has so much guilt as it is for neglecting and abandoning Gypsy that she's playing into and leaning into that guilt to make him feel worse, to keep him off balance so that they can still control Rod. And that's not fair. And the more that they can manipulate Rod and make him feel bad, the more they can act like fools online and make money and have all their antics and be dysfunctional and toxic, because Rod is too busy feeling bad that he caused this divorce and made everything wrong for Gypsy. So Rod's the bad guy when really Rod's not the bad guy. Rod's out working all the time when they're the ones being toxic online. I honestly think Christie spends so much time in misery doing all of this because of her own insecurities in her marriage, the fact that she's lonely because Rod's working all the time. He's gone for months at a time offshore. And that's hard on anyone. But that doesn't give anyone an excuse to like spend no, he's not 28 days, no. He's not 28 days on and 28 days off. He will sometimes be gone for 3 months. There have been times in this 5 years that I've known her that he has been out to shore for 3 months. Home for a full month, home for 2 months. Sometimes trips are back to back and he's gone for 2 months. No, Christie doesn't work. And then you don't think she's not worried about if he's out there like going to the bar when they're on a stop, he's hooking up or something? I'm sure she's like so insecure. I don't know. Christie said she details cars. Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Rod is not a bad-looking guy. Ryan Anderson, come to the front. I gotta go, you guys. I've been on live way too long. Thank you so much to all of you that have been on here. And, like, shots fired. I gotta go. I swear, just follow me here. I'm not trying to make money. I'll probably end this live. And you know what TikTok will tell me? That I made 32 cents. That's what TikTok will tell me. You made 32 cents. And then all you Gypsy like supporters can be like, she monetized Gypsy. And I'll be like, yeah, that 32 cents I made, I'm going to donate it to Make-A-Wish. Are you going to donate any of your money back to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Gyp? You got 3 trips. You stole 3 wishes from another child that actually had a life-threatening disease. I'm pretty sure every one of your wishes was probably $20,000. That tells me you owe Make-A-Wish probably 60 grand. I'm sure that donation of $500 you made really equates to the 60 grand that you stole from Make-A-Wish. Or what about your $50,000 or your Habitat for Humanity house that you got when you were 17 and you knew you could walk? I don't really give a crap that your mom brought you into the scam, but all it took was for you to tell Habitat, I can walk, I don't need this. I didn't raise my child to lie. Just because your mom raised you to lie doesn't give you an excuse to lie. And your last wish, Gypsy, you were 23 years old. You know why it changed for me with Gypsy? She told me in May she was 23 years old, she knew she wasn't sick, and she still went on her wish. She was 23, she knew she wasn't sick, and she still went on the wish. And she was bragging to me about it. Why would I be scared about defamation? Gypsy's, have you watched the interrogation video? Gypsy's on an interrogation bragging about going on that same wish. Gypsy, you owe $60,000 to Make-A-Wish. You owe money to Habitat for Humanity. You have stolen from Hobby Lobby. You bragged about stealing and shoplifting and stealing from Sam's Club. You boasted about your theft in your book Released. You literally are so arrogant that you wrote about your crimes that you committed in the book that you released. I'm shocked that you haven't been rearrested. And if anyone asks me, do you think Gypsy will be back in prison? Yes, 100%. I 100% believe that Gypsy will be arrested for something else. I will be shocked if she doesn't violate and I see her behind bars again. She has not changed. She has not reformed. She has no remorse. I just hope that she doesn't hurt her child. And I certainly hope that no one else ends up dead. You can find Gypsy's full interrogation video. It's on YouTube. Just click in, just put in Gypsy Rose Blanchard interrogation. Multiple channels have it posted. She's already served 10 plus years. She actually didn't. She served 8 years, not 10. All right, you guys, good night. Thanks for the 32 cents, everyone. Yeah, Becca Scoops has a good one, but Becca doesn't have the interrogations up. Law and Crime has Nick's trial. If you want to watch Nick's trial, Law and Crime actually has Gypsy's testimony where she's on stand, literally admitting to being the mastermind of the schmurder. And if you Google Crime for Dummies is one of the channels that has the interrogation videos on them. And all of these videos are 32 cents, yeah. And all of these photos that are out for the crime scene, those aren't new. On YouTube, Crime for Dummies on YouTube, and Law and Crime on YouTube. Flawless Nina has me blocked. Good night, y'all.